It's a pun Valentine set. I'm going to use black ink. I have my regular adhesive that I think I'm going to run out of, so I have a refill ready to go. And I have some foam squares, large ones and small ones. And I might need some scissors, so I have those also. So let's get started. This kit has everything that you need to make all 4 cards. So you have I Whaley Whaley Love You, So Happy to Find You, You Have a Pizza My Heart, and You Mean the World to Me. All four are in here, including card bases and envelopes. So in my card kits, I just do a large color photo. I don't do written instructions since they are so easy to assemble that you're going to see here in just a second. So I'm going to take my cover sheet out, and everything in here is stacked according to how it's assembled and how it's shown on this page. So the first thing I'm going to do is just divide them up so that I know what goes with what. That'll make assembly super easy. My ink out of the way. Okay, and then each one I have 4 card bases, 4 envelopes, and I have this bag of ephemera that I know I'm going to need. So I'm going to leave everything in that bag for right now. And I'm going to start assembling the first card. So the first card is, let's see, it goes like that. So the first card is this I Whaley Whaley Love You. So what I need for that is these 3 pieces. It looks like I have a heart punch. It's right here. Some washi tape. And maybe a tiny heart. Oh, I'm going to need some glue dots too. A tiny heart button. Ah, buttons everywhere. Okay, a tiny heart button. And then it looks like I'm using the blue and white baker's twine. Okay, and then I need a card base, and I'll just keep it with the envelope too. So, all right, so I'm going to start. I like to ink things, so I'm going to start by inking this just a little bit. And when I ink, I always use the Versa Magic chalk inks. I have these online also, but I've kind of limited myself to 2 colors because these 2 colors, black and the other color that I use all the time is Java, which is a brown. So this is Midnight Black, or Midnight, what is this one called? Yeah, Midnight Black, and then the other one is called Java. Those are the 2 colors that I use 99.9% of the time. So I just simplify it by just having those 2. I love this ink because it's only $2.50. And the cool thing about it, it lasts for quite a while. It's a foam top. And when the foam gets roughed up, that first layer just peels off and you have like a fresh layer underneath. So you get a little bit more life out of your ink pad. I've never tried to refill them because once I get to that second layer, the foam is so torn up, and I've like extended its life as far as I can, in my opinion. So yeah, I just get a new one. All right, so I'm going to start by, this is my card base. Make sure, I'm going to ink the edges of this too because I like the way that looks. These are A2 cards. I had a couple sets that I used different sized cards for it, and I just went back to just doing all A2. So, okay, so I'm gonna start by layering these pieces. So this is just at an angle a little bit. And this piece, it looks like I'm going to cut this down a tiny bit, so I can layer around it. So I just took a 1/4 inch off. I love the B side of these. It's like sprinkles, like cupcake sprinkles or cake sprinkles on the B side. Okay, and on this heart, I'm going to pop it up. Just put a couple foam squares, one on each side of this heart. I want to cover that sentiment. I covered it up again. Move this down a little bit. There we go. Now you can read what it says. And then this little heart button that for some reason I can't pick up is going to go right there. It has a flat side to it. So I'm going to use a little mini glue dot. I'm just going to put my glue dot on this card and then attach my button to it. Okay, and now it looks like we're going to use our washi tape. So when I put washi tape in kits, I always put it on a popsicle stick, and there's almost always extra. So let's see, I'm going to put this along the bottom here, and I want it to go underneath that. Just wrap that around the back side. That can go in the trash. And now this baker's twine, I'm going to wrap it around 2 times. And I'm going to tie a bow on here. So to tie the bow, I'm going to, so it's wrapped twice around here. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to tie a knot first down here. I need like an extra finger. There we go. Okay, so I have a knot first, and now I'm going to tie my bow. And that'll help it so that it falls correctly, so it's not going off to the side if you do the knot first. Okay, and then we're just going to trim this evenly. Try and get a little better than that. All right. So there's my first one. So this is pushed up like on the whale a little bit. Okay. And now I'm going to run my adhesive along the back of this and attach it to my card base. Interesting B side of this one, isn't it? It's like rose paper. So before I secure it down, I want to make sure my card opens the correct way. How many times have we made cards and they are facing the wrong direction when you put the base down? So I just center it on here. And if I want to, I can add a little glue dot there to hold that in place, but I'm not gonna, well, I am gonna fix this because it's a little annoying that it's off the wrong size. Okay, and so now I've got one card done. Yay! So I think that one will go to my daughter. And I have a daughter that lives in San Diego. This looks like it needs to be trimmed down too. So I'm going to trim this down. I have a daughter that lives in San Diego, and got to send her something for Valentine's Day, right? So maybe an Amazon gift search or gift card would be cute. Or would be, she would use it for sure. So this one, it has this houndstooth background. It's kind of funny, these papers. So this is a fall B-side paper, and the colors are perfect with this. And then this super bright, fun dot paper. This is Bo Bunny's Double Dot, and I don't know if they've discontinued this line. This is one of my favorites. Or if they're just having supply issues. I know they're having supply issues at American Crafts, but I don't know if that's what's causing the Bo Bunny Double Dot to not be available. Okay, that's going to go there. I know that. And then this one uses this black grosgrain ribbon and these 3 buttons, hot pink buttons. I get my buttons from a company out of Colorado Springs. It's called Creative Impressions, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Okay, so this is kind of centered in here. So I'm going to put this on top of here, and then I'm going to pop this side up. And I'm just going to use these big foam squares. I'm just going to use 5. You don't need to put a whole lot more because it's a card and it's not something, you know, permanent in your scrapbook. Okay, so that's just centered on there, eyeball it. And then I have 3 buttons. And it looks like one is going to go right here. These buttons come in 3 sizes, small, medium, large. So my small button is going to go down here. My medium button is going to go up here, and it kind of like goes right with that clothesline. Not that it has to be exact, you can do whatever you want there, and it kind of peeks out from the back of the card. That's why I lifted this up. It gives you a little bit more room. And then this one I'm going to put right on the back of the button. That did stick, yeah. And this is going to go right back here, kind of tucked behind. I'm going to lift it up just a tiny. There we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, little triangle effect there. And then this little clothesline, we're going to attach a bow. So this is going to be a tiny bow, and this is really, what is this? Like 3/8, I think, is the width of this. And this is just a little tiny bow. Boy, did I give you a lot of extra ribbon with this one. That's okay though. I always give a little bit extra because you have to have room for your fingers to maneuver and make the bows and, you know, do the things. So That's why you have a little bit of extra, but this is probably twice as much as you need. But that's okay. You can add another bow, or you can, you know, do something else with it. So I made my little bow. I'm going to hold the center of it, and I'm going to pull the tails to tighten it. You want your tails to be a little bit longer than the bow loops. Okay, so one more glue dot there. You could also use liquid glue for this. I just happen to have this box of glue dots that's like on its last leg. You can tell it's time for some new glue dots. Put a bow, or put a pop dot there, a glue dot there, and then add my little bow. Okay. So I know I don't need any more of that. I'm just going to set that aside. I'll use that for something else. And my card base. So I'm going to ink up my base. It says, "So happy to find you." This would be a good one for my husband, right? All right, so I'm going to secure this to the card base. So just up at the very top and along the sides so it doesn't come off. And center it on, whoops, make sure. It's a good habit to get into. Make sure you're positioning the top of the card so that it goes on, so it's not backwards. And then here's an envelope for this one. So there's 2 cards ready to go. And now let's do this third one, which is the pizza card. And this needs to be cut down a little bit. So I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to cut it down to a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. Maybe. Okay. You have a pizza, my heart. Okay, so this one has a few layers to it. Just set that stuff aside. I know we need a little bit more of this blue baker's twine. So I have my sentiment. I have this cute little card, a doily, and the base. So I'm going to ink all of these. And this one, I don't know if I should send this to my son or my other daughter. My son will get one of these and my daughter will get the other one, my other daughter. I have 3 kids, one in Seattle, one in San Diego, and then my youngest still lives in Colorado. She's a student over at the college over here. So there's my sentiment. And then this doily, I just distress them a little bit so it doesn't look super stark next to the other things. Since I ink everything else, figure I might as well ink some of this. These are pretty fragile, so that's how I ink it, just real lightly on the top layer. Cover that up. The first thing that goes on is my doily. That's the first layer. And I can tell that it kind of wraps around the back because of the way it's positioned here. If it was all the way on the center, you'd see it all the way across to this side, and you don't see that. Not that it matters. You can do it however you want, but I'm going to put adhesive on the front of this. I don't like to put adhesive on doilies because they're so fragile that it usually just tears them, and then you're frustrated because your doily is torn. So just a little strip of adhesive on the back to secure that. And this, I think I'm going to layer down, and then I'll pop this up with my foam adhesive. So I'm just going to use regular adhesive on this card. And then this little sentiment I'm going to pop up. And this is just the regular scrapbook. What is it? Scrapbook adhesives. Excuse me. Just the regular foam squares. Not the thin ones. And not the small ones. But just the regular ones. Okay. So that. And then with this leftover twine. I gave you way too much twine in this kit. Oh well. This one, just a little bow. So we're just going to make a little bow. Super easy to make bows when you don't have, when you have like twine or ribbon that only has one side to it. You just make a bow like you tie your shoes. Okay, and then I'll gather both of the ends together and trim them so that they're somewhat even. And then I'm going to add this up to the top here above that heart. So I'm done with that. So another glue dot. We'll go up there. Cute, right? So cute. Okay. Get my card base. Ink it up. Add some adhesive. Actually, I'm going to add adhesive to the card base so that I don't tear up that doily. And again, make sure I'm positioned correctly. All right, and then center this. This would be good to add a little gift card, like a pizza gift card. All right. I have one card base and one envelope left. 3 Valentines down. 1 to go. So these would be really cute for your grandkids or for your kids or for your, just as an activity for your family. So the last pieces have this little heart panel piece, a red dot, and the "You Mean the World to Me." And I'm going to just trim this down a tiny bit. Okay. I'm going to ink these up. See how fast and easy these are? And it's really just basic supplies that you needed. So I ended up needing a paper trimmer, my scissors. I knew I'd need my scissors for the ribbon, but sometimes you need them for fussy cutting. There is no fussy cutting on this card, so either love that, you're cheering, or you're like, aw, because you like fussy cutting. And then ink, if you use ink. I have seen people do, I know a lot of ladies that use a gel pen and just outline around. I have a really bad trimmer. I've always had a trimmer, so I cannot draw a straight line to save myself. So it's frustrating for me to try and do that, but you can do that instead. And what else do you need? Glue dots, regular adhesive, and your foam squares if you're going to do foam squares. So on this one, I'm going to put this one down flat, and I'm going to pop up the top sentiment. And you could do whatever you want with that. You could put Both of them flat. You can pop the bottom layer up. You probably don't want to pop both layers up on top of each other because then it might be too thick to go through the post office. All right, and then this gets centered onto this. And then with this one, we have black and white baker's twine. And you can do this a couple different ways. I'll show you one way, and then I'm going to do it the other way. So one way is you can tack this onto the back here, and then wrap this around twice, cut it off, and tack it again, and then add your bow to wherever you want them to crisscross. Or you can start on the face. This is how I'm going to do it. Start on the face, leaving a tail. I've done this like 1,000 times, so I know this is about the right size tail for my bow, and I know I want my bow up towards the top. So I'm going to wrap. Try not to get my baker's twine all covered in glue dots. Wrap it twice. Wrap it twice. I don't know why I'm upside down. Let me fix that. Okay, so I have 2 wraparounds. And now I'm going to create a bow. But the first thing I want to do is knot this so that my bow will lay kind of flat, or kind of, you know, the right direction. So I have a little bit more control over it. So I knotted that. Okay, untwist and untangle, whatever I need to do. And then make my bow. And I just keep pulling the loops to tighten it and get the right size loops that I want. And then once my loops are okay, I'm going to gather both of these tails together and I'm going to trim them. And like I said before, you can take a glue dot and pin that down if you'd like. Look at that tail. I didn't do a very good job evening those out. Okay. And some of this goes underneath the You Mean the World to Me in the sample. If you can see that, it's like underneath that top card. So that's why I tucked it under there. You guys get to do whatever you want on your cards. So let's get our base ready. Okay. I was with a friend this weekend and she had the cutest stamp that she found on Etsy. She has pen pals that she writes to regularly, and on her envelopes she has this stamp that just says snail mail down here in the corner. It's so cute. I have to find it. I love that idea. I think that's so cute. Okay. Whew. All right, and then this one is done. So let's backtrack and I'll show you what we did. So we have You Mean the World to Me. You mean the world to me. You have a piece of my heart. So happy to find you. And I really, really love you. And those are the 4 cards that come in this kit. I really, really love you. The DIY card making kit. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that and that you can make some cards too. Happy Valentine's Day.